You know, since I was a kid, there's one thing I've really wanted to do, which is to drive through Europe. And that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm here in Paris, and we're going to be driving all the way to Turin in Italy. And in what? It's right there. They were Mustangs, 10 of the very best ever made. Most of these had even come to India for the first Maharajahs of the road drive that went on for over 2,000 kilometers over some pretty tough roads. They started off from a set in Bollywood in Mumbai to Umaid Bhawan in Jaipur. But this time, the Maharajahs of the road drive by Equus Auto saw us start from less glamorous surroundings. But just being in the beautiful cars, once again driving around, and that too in Paris, more than made up for it. We are here in Paris. Behind me is the Eiffel Tower, and there's another beautiful building out in front. But everybody around here isn't looking at either of those two things. They're looking here at the 10 Mustangs lined up over here. It's drawing a lot of attention. The sights were incredibly grand. It almost took my mind off all my apprehensions. But soon we were out of the city and we got our first opportunity to speed things up. But the Maharajahs of the road isn't about getting quickly from one place to another. It's about soaking in the spirit of the land, which is why we soon turned on to picture-perfect postcard roads and headed to take our first stop at an enchanting village called Mély-la-Forêt. Okay, we're making a stop now, and this is kind of unconventional. Our pit stop right now happens to be this beautiful little cottage here, which happens to be the house where Christian Dior used to live. It was brilliant to just hang out there and chill. We made another stop in the woods of Fontainebleau, and then there were more on the highway. We were quite off schedule. To sum it up in brief, the first day. Several breakdowns. We are well over 4 hours behind schedule. It's dark and we are still fixing cars. And not to mention, this one's getting fixed, may or may not work. That one's on the trailer, that one's out. The one behind that on the trailer is out. And there's another one over there. That too is out. Day one, over. Next morning, we were ready to start nice and early from the village of Ceylon. But we were expecting things to be quite rough.
Pay attention for you that you and Mumbai are very hot and at Megève the temperature is the minimum 0, the maximum 2 degrees Celsius. Pay attention, cover yourself.
With that cheerful thought, the entire posse of the Maharajahs of the road rolled off into the foggy morning. As we stuck to the B roads, I was completely awestruck. It is mind-blowing. Seriously, there's no other way to put it. This is not going to be a trip that I'm going to forget. I'm going to probably go back home and think that I should do this on a bike next. On a bike, I probably would have got frozen by the time I got to Bonn. This is a city that is famous for its Burgundy wine. In fact, it's known as the Burgundy capital of the world. We were back on the highways, and surprisingly, we were running against the clock. But that grand feeling washed out pretty quickly. The plan today on the Maharajahs of the road was to get to Megève by evening and get there safe. And it's getting dark. The point is that these cars have giant V8s with no ESP, no ABS, no traction control. So getting up there to a place which is cold and possibly has snow is a little scary. Soon the road started climbing and we careened on. A road sign made me quite apprehensive. but we zoomed on without a hint of the white stuff. Well, we're in Majev. Made it safe, no snow. Now it's time for food and some sleep. Tomorrow to Turin. Next morning, I saw a beautiful town and some snow. Well, now we're going to be making the final push for Turin and for Italy. There are two ways to get there. One is the Mont Blanc tunnel, which is, well, fairly straightforward. You just drive through. But the route we're going to use is the route that the Romans used to use in the old days. This one cuts right through, high up in the Alps. We quickly rolled up to the Alps. The narrow, winding roads were quite challenging. I never thought that making it up to the Alps was going to be easy. But there were more challenges than I had expected. My boss 351 doesn't like the mountains. It just does not like the mountains. It's just popping and pinging, and I really have to rev it up to keep it going, which means I'm frying the clutch at every corner. It's making going uphill a real pain. But there was lots of motivation to keep me going. Snow! Where you're watching is probably 40 degrees, but there's snow here. And that wasn't all. We drove up higher and higher until we could go no further because of a roadblock. A quick break turned into a war. I was completely blown away by the Alps. Well folks, thanks to Maharajahs of the road, I've had a wish fulfilled for myself. Driving from Paris to Turin is gonna happen. Right now I'm still here in the Alps. It's been a fabulous drive, and you know what? Though the drive will continue to Turin, this is definitely the biggest and the best high point of the entire trip for me. After that, we quickly screamed back down towards Italy and Turin. There were many miles, but they all just whizzed by as we headed towards the grand city of Turin. We made a whirlwind tour of the landmarks and quickly headed to one of the most important auto destinations of Turin. The blessed house of Italdesign and Giugiaro, one of the most famous names in the world of automotive design. I even met Fabrizio Giugiaro, son of Giorgetto Giugiaro, and cast my eyes on his rendition of the Mustang. The car was stunning. The setting was perfect. It was just all too perfect, and it had to come to an end. The grand trip of the Maharajahs of the road was now over, but one thing still remained. So here it is, the badge of honor for all the cars that have participated in the Maharajah Road. Some of these cars were down in India, they get 2 badges. But this Boss 351 has been here for the Gran Torino drive from Paris to France, and it's getting its badge of honor here in Turin. That completes my drive here with the Maharajahs of the road from Paris to Turin. Au revoir.